What is up, everybody? Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks. Listen, it's game 7. The last game of the NBA season is tomorrow or tonight, depending on when you're watching this. And I'm going to give you guys my favorite plays to lock in for game 7. So I have one official play that I'm locking in, the only play that I have officially. There were a bunch of leans that I had as well, but I didn't want to go crazy, take a bunch of plays in one game. And then, if my game script of how I thought the game's going to go is wrong, we lose 3, 5 plays, whatever. So I'm just sticking with one play that I'm very confident in. And then, like I said, I'll give you guys some leans as well. So if you want to put some stuff in an SGP, of course you can. Before we do that, let's recap game 6. We did make money, albeit slightly. I had Jalen Williams under 23.5 points. That one did hit. Now, I be honest, I didn't feel great about this. The way the game started, the first quarter, the first half, he played well. And then the Thunder just got absolutely boat raced in that third quarter, and he barely played in the second half. Didn't even come close. No sweat there. And then Benedict Mathurin might have been the worst bet of all time. Luckily, I did play it light. I laddered it with a half unit on 15 plus and a quarter unit on 20 plus. Didn't even come close. I think he scored 4 points. He shot horribly. A lot of guys, role players for the Pacers, played well. It was not Benedict Mathurin, but we did make money. Yes, or I guess I should say last game, albeit very, very slightly. We are up a quarter unit, which brings our total profit on the year up a little over 32.5 units. Pretty decent season overall, just under 6% ROI. It's felt like it's been a very frustrating season, but you take a step back and things have generally gone pretty well. And then the month of May has gone well for us as well, up about just under 8.5 units. I should say since the month of May. We are no longer in May. Since the month of May, things have gone pretty well for us. I had a horrible start to the NBA playoffs, played it light for the next couple weeks, and then starting in the conference finals, I had a play for every single game, and 5.5 units just below that in terms of profit. So pretty pleased, especially with how these playoffs have gone. And let's get into game 7. Pretty awesome series. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, thought that the Thunder were going to win in 5. Now they might lose the series outright. And I will admit, the Thunder it's like they're trying to do what they did in the Denver series, which was blow game 1, win game 2 handedly, lose game 3 where they were out of it for most of the game, have an impressive comeback in game 4, blowout win game 5, get blown out game 6. But the Pacers are not the Thunder, and the Pacers are not going to go down without a fight. I don't think game 7 is going to be a blowout like that Thunder Thunder Nuggets series was. But in terms of my first and only official play, so the only play that I will track as part of my official record, I'm going with Shai. I'm going with his points, and I'm taking him actually over 33.5, which you can get at plus 114 at FanDuel. Now, if you wanted to be safe, you could take him over 32.5 for minus 122. But because I'm only taking one play, I didn't feel the need to go safe. I figured the need to go a little bit bolder. And the additional point for going from minus 122 to plus 114 odds is good and is worth it in my book. So that is my official play here, is backing Shai. Now, looking at Shai in this series, he was awesome in game 1, even though they lost. He was pretty good to awesome in game 2. He didn't score as much, but his assists were high. Just felt like he made every single correct play in game 2. Since then, scoring has been a little bit harder to come by for Shai. It was a gross game 3. Now, we did cash this over in the game 4. It came with like 15 points in the last 5 minutes, and then 2 gross games since then. So to be honest, it hasn't been the best scoring series for Shai, and I will admit I was heavily debating SGA or J Will because they're really the only 2 guys that I can trust. But game 7s can be wonky, and a lot of times it just turns into the best player taking a million shots. So I would not be surprised in the slightest if SGA puts up 40 plus shots in this one. That's just kind of how game 7s go. Like, I think the only 2 guys that I am confident are going to score on the Thunder are SGA and Jalen Williams. Now, one of their role players will have a good game, but will it be Aaron Wiggins? Will it be Casey Wallace? Will it be Caruso? Will it be Lou Dort? I don't think it's going to be Chet. I want to take the under on Chet, but he shot so bad for basically this entire series, and especially for 3 straight games, 2 of 9, 4 of 15, 4 of 9. Maybe he has a game where he just goes 8 of 9. I didn't feel confident in the under. That's a play that I'll give out as a lean. He just can't make any. He has got no touch around the rim, and you just be a little bit physical with him. And he really needs to grow his offensive game. He's awesome on defense, but offensively, he can't do anything. So this is just a play on SGA and a play on the volume that I'm expecting. When you look at him the last two games, game 6, they won by 11. Jay Will put up 40 points in this game. SGA still took 21 shots, only made 9 of them, and he did not make a single three-pointer. And he still scored 31 points. Like, he was still pretty close. And then game 6, just a terrible game. I mean, they lost by 17. They are down by 30 points heading into the fourth quarter. They really just waved the white flag and said, you know what? We're just going to get it done at home in game 7, which, again, is a very, very dangerous proposition for the Thunder. That's why I'm not saying I think they're going to win or cover the spread. I actually would lean, from a spread perspective, I would lean towards the Pacers keeping this game close. But from a playing perspective, it's SGA. Again, I'm expecting the volume to be there. And you look at him head-to-head against the Pacers. You know, he smoked them in the regular season, 3 of 4 games. I guess he only played them twice, went 33 in the one game that he didn't go over. The Pacers, I will admit, their defense is playing him better and differently than I expected. You know, the way the Pacers play defense is to stick to shooters and to kind of let themselves get cooked one-on-one. They really haven't done that with Shai, but Shai, you know, the Pacers' defensive game plan in game 6 was they just pressured him immediately when he touched the ball, which their pickup point was way further up the court than it had been any other game. It honestly kind of reminds me of Tyrese Halliburton when he was playing the Knicks. And he had this game right here against the Knicks where it was the same thing. He only took 7 shots. They picked him up as soon as he touched the ball. And everybody was like, oh, is this how you're going to stop Halliburton? And then he had a good game, scored 21 points the next game. I'm kind of expecting something similar for Shai, where he's going to be ready for the higher pickup point. The Thunder are going to be ready for the higher pickup point. And again, this is really just a play on volume that I'm expecting for SGA. In game 7, you know, we've seen plenty of times these superstars just take a million shots in games 7. I'm not comparing him to these players, but, you know, Kobe back in the day did it. Kawhi did it in the game 7 that they had against the Sixers. You see it all the time. I mean, it's just like you go to your stars. Teams know what the other teams are doing, so you're not going to be able to be incredibly creative with the game plan or a play set that's going to work. So SGA, go cook. That's my first and only official play, as I mentioned. SGA over 33.5 points, plus 114 odds at FanDuel. And then in terms of leans, you know, I was really, really, really close to going with Jay Will and his point prop over. I know I just faded him last game. That's because he had gone over in 3 straight. After a gross game, 6 of 13, 0 of 4 from deep. Again, the only 2 guys that I trust to score are SGA and Jay Will. So I was really close to just taking both these 2 for plus money and basically saying I'm confident one of them is going to hit, and that way we would make money. But I decided to just go a little bit safer with SGA because another thing about game 7, sometimes offense is incredibly difficult to come by and nobody goes over. It's just an under across the board. So I didn't want to take 2 overs in a game 7. That kind of just felt like bad business. So Jay Will as a lean over. I do really, really like, again, the only 2 guys I trust to score are those 2. I've said that a million times. I won't repeat it. And after, you know, I faded him after 40 points. Now's the time to just go swing the other way and take his over. If you wanted to be safe or you wanted to be bold, you could go 25 plus, which he did hit. In all 3 games he went over, and I kind of like that for the better value. I already mentioned Chet. If I were to play Chet, I would lean his under, if anything. I mean, you just look at what he's done in these playoffs against this team. The Pacers are a very aggressive defense, and they get up in your grill. That's how they've been playing Chet, and he just hasn't shown the ability to really consistently get to the line. No free throws in game 6, no free throws in game 5. He did get fouled 3 times, 6 free throws in game 4, 9 in game 3, which is a complete outlier. 2 and then 2. So only 2 games did he get fouled more than twice or once. So again, he just has no touch around the rim. You play him a little. It doesn't need to be like they can put a smaller guy on him and just get up in his grill, and he just doesn't quite have the skill set to do anything with that. But again, after shooting so horribly for basically this entire series, especially for 3 straight games, he might just have a game where he goes 8 of 9 and those shots start to fall. So I didn't feel confident enough in the under. I would also lean towards the under on Halliburton. He scored 14 points in game 6. He generally played pretty well. 5 of 12, 3 of 7 from deep. You know, people were wondering how he was going to look with the calf. He looked like he was moving around pretty good, but he's not always the type of guy that's going to be aggressive getting a shot. And with the tight game 7 where people are going to be on him, I don't really trust his scoring. So I would lean towards him going under the 14.5 points, which you can get a good price at plus 100 or you could be a little bit safer, take 15.5 for a little bit of a worse price. On the flip side of that, I would lean towards the over for Siakam. He is really the only player that I trust to get the consistent volume on the Pacers. You know, I don't know if it's going to be Turner or Nemby or Neesmith or McConnell or Obi Toppin or Benedict Mathurin. Ben Shepherd could go 6 of 8 from deep. You never know with the Pacers, but the one guy that I am confident in is Pascal Siakam. You know, he scored 21 points in game 3. We were on him in this game. We were able to cash that out. He also had an awesome game in game 5, the game in which they lost, where he scored 28 points. Now, he didn't go over his prop in game 6. He really didn't have that great of a game, 6 of 14. But from an assist, like a playmaking perspective, he was really good. 13 rebounds. I guess only 3 assists. I was more so thinking of the rebounds. But he's really the only guy that I trust, like I said, on the Pacer side, that I know is going to get the volume. There's a lot of guys that can score, which is why the Pacers are so good. Because guess what? It's not Halliburton's game. They have 3 other guys. Unlike the Thunder, who are obviously awesome, they only have 2 guys who you can trust to give the ball and go get a bucket. And if those 2 guys are off, well, then the Thunder offense looks like they're stuck in the mud, which they've looked like for honestly a lot of this series. So the under for Halliburton and the over for Siakam are the 2 plays that I would make for the Pacers. You know, TJ, he might just be the best player in NBA history. He just looks like he's unstoppable. You can still get him 9.5, 10 plus points for relatively even money. And I would lean towards the over. It's like that little mid-range for him. You think that he's like an ant that you just want to squish, but he keeps getting to his spots. And that mid-range is just automatic for him. And I could just see him going, 5 of 7 from the field, scoring 10 points, because that's what TJ does. So it would be the over for TJ. But again, one official play for you guys to lock in, and then a bunch of leans. If you want to put some sort of same game parlay together, because I believe FanDuel is giving you a boost. If not FanDuel, I'm sure one of the other books are. You can do that. So official play, SGA, over 33.5 points. Leans, J-Will, over 22.5 points. Actually, for me, it'd be 25 plus. Chet, under 15.5 points. Don't really trust anybody else in the Thunder. Pascal Siakam over his prop. Halliburton under his prop. And then TJ over his point prop. I'm just looking at point props for this one. And that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching. This is the last NBA video of the season. And even though, again, it's felt gross and not even close to the success we had last year, you take a step back, 6% ROI. I'm perfectly fine with that. So I appreciate everybody that stuck with me the entire season. Dong season, then it's football season, and then the NBA season starts right back up again in just a couple months. So be excited for that. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the links in the description of the video to support the channel. Make sure to bet responsibly, and have a good one.